to my satisfaction. And he goes, yeah, what's that? I said, why does every director you've ever worked with tell me you're a pain in the ass? He said, who? So, well, let's start with the best director of all. Let's start with Steven Spielberg. He's a friend of mine. When I talked to him about you and Private Ryan, he said, quote, there's a reason I killed him off first. Unquote. How do you explain that? Well, he starts to explain himself, right? He's no longer so arrogant. Now he's like, well, you know, I had ideas and, you know, all this stuff. And he's explaining himself. The minute he starts to explain himself, I knew that the right balance had gotten affected. Because you don't want to be a director with the actor's foot on your neck. And so I knew I had to reverse his sense of the balance of power. And I maintained that through 2 movies. And both through Fast and XXX, which are the biggest hits he's ever had. And I think it comes from the fact that I got this dominant position where I didn't consult him how I'm shooting it or this or that. I talked through the scene from the actor's point of view each morning. It was a very delightful pattern we got into of having a half coffee, half hot chocolate, like a mocha together, like first thing in the morning, and talk about the scene and what I'm doing, and you know, just so he had an orientation. And he's a very smart man, so he had things to offer, and of course, the most important thing when you're a director is to keep open, because you can be saved by anybody. I'll tell you another story about directing. When I started my real directing career, I got lucky and I got to direct the first year of Miami Vice. And what I was told by Michael Mann and everybody connected to Miami Vice is you can shoot a shitty show, but if you do it on budget, they may have you back. But you can shoot a great show, and if you don't do it on budget, you'll never work at Miami Vice, and once they can you from a series, it's that reputation follows you. So I'm doing my first Miami Vice, and you know, the production manager comes with his strip board and says, okay, let's sort of break down day one. Says, well, we're going to start in the counterfeit place, Crock and Tubbs having the scene with the counterfeiter. Okay, so that's a few pages of dialogue. Then, you know, Miami Vice comes on the raid, the cars screech up, this guy switches on the sprinklers, which are gasoline, and he lights the place on fire, and it's burning, and there's a shootout around piles of money, and Miami Vice comes charging in, and the building's so much on fire by this point that, you know, to get the evidence, Switek jumps through the window and grabs the counterfeiting plates, and he comes out with these smoking plates, and his hands are in bandages and so on. And he says, okay, and then we move and break for lunch. I go, that's a morning? On a feature, that would be 2 days. I go, uh-huh. Because it's very important that we are having lunch at the second location. Now you go to the second location, you shoot this dialogue scene in this house, right, blah, blah, blah. So I'm as fast a thinker on my feet as anybody. I'm shooting, and I'm shooting, and I'm doing every trick I can do to condense shots on my shot list and get this thing done. And no matter what I do, I'm not going to make lunch at the second location. And I'm drowning. And you know, I'm dealing with fire, squibs, actors, you know, makeup changes, you know, just every, you know, stunt stuff, everything you could have. So I get to the second location after lunch, and I'm all ready, and I see that I'm getting there at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and like pull the plug time is 6 o'clock. So I have 13 setups to shoot in this house, and I'm so screwed that I go to the craft service table and I say to the guy, "Can you give me a coffee?"